Hey viewers, my name's Cara. I am not sitting by my desk doing the usual setup today. I'm just relaxing on the couch because I don't feel too good. And also, I've just been running around doing a bunch of stuff. So I figured let's do a casual vlog, handheld. I'll try not to move the camera that much after that demonstration right there because I know it makes some of you dizzy. But anyway, yeah, I've been running around doing a lot of stuff. I'm finally getting my car back in drivable operational condition after it sitting in our garage for the past 2 years. I had not driven my car since my grandmother died. It's not a direct connection, but that just happens to be how it was. The last time I drove my car was when I drove myself to the hospital at the end of 2018 when my grandma was in the hospital, and then she died a couple days after, but my partner had driven me to the hospital that day. So the last time I drove it was the day that I had driven myself to go see her, and she was still alive then, and then I came home. And then it just so happened, that it's winter. I don't do a lot of driving over the winter, so the car didn't get used, and then yeah, we didn't have the money to get it done and all kinds of things. So before I get actually too far into just rambling, there is also going to be a subject to this video, this little vlog. I want to talk about the spring equinox a little bit and my anniversary. So that's what I'm going to get to at the end, but why I'm sitting on the couch right now is because of all of these other things that have been going on. So I've been trying to get my car operational because it's been dead for a couple years. And every time we were going to get around to fixing it, every time we had a little bit of money saved up to try to get it in, either the garages were really busy, couldn't get an appointment, or something happened with my partner's vehicle, and that was a bigger priority because they use that vehicle to go to work, whereas I work mostly from home, so my vehicle was not a huge priority. And when I work at the museum, my partner drives me and picks me up because I only work there on the days that they are not working their job. So it just worked out that for the past couple of years, I did not need to drive myself. But it's been a while, and it will be much more convenient if I can now like run errands myself during the day while my partner's at work, and I can work additional days, not just on the days that they don't work. And also, I'm going to be taking a bit of a trip soon. So I don't want to say too much about that here yet. If you are on my Patreon, if you're in my Patreon community, patreon.com/cutewitch772, then you are already in the know about this if you are updated with the posts, that is, because I know some people are not fully up to date on all the posts, and that's okay. Yeah, so we've been trying to get my car all back in order. A lot of running around, a lot of back and forth, a lot of hoops to jump through, a lot of headache, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and I just got my car back today again from the mechanic to get a few more things done. I have to renew my registration, I have to get an e-check, and I've been to try to do both of those things multiple times, and I keep getting like sent back and forth like, wait, you can't do this yet because you need that. Oh, well, they won't let me do that until I do this. Okay, but you can't do this until you do that. And then, oh, oh my goodness, right? So that has been my life for the past couple of weeks. And today I just kind of don't feel good. I have a bit of a stomach ache. I feel like maybe I didn't get enough sleep too, so I've been kind of just relaxing on the couch, trying to take a nap, trying to calm down, trying to have less anxiety. So I just decided I want to get this video done. I wanted to talk about the spring equinox stuff. But I was like, I don't really want to get up and go over to the desk and set it up and make it look, whatever. I can just I can just hold the phone and do my vlog this way. So a little bit old school, casual. I hope that's okay with you. So yeah, the spring equinox was last week. I am recording this on a Friday. The equinox was last Saturday. And this is not something that I ever usually think of this way, but for some reason this year it made me think of it, that the spring equinox is kind of an anniversary for me. In some ways, it is my witchiversary, if you will. So the spring equinox, or the vernal equinox, or Ostara, or whatever you call it, in the northern hemisphere, the one that takes place in March, the start of Aries season, in 2004 was the first Sabbath that I ever celebrated with other people after I started studying and learning about witchcraft and paganism. on my own as a teenager. So, whether it's just because that's a really convenient date to remember or whatever, I have always sort of estimated in my head how long I've been consciously practicing since spring equinox of 2004. I was 13 at that point. I turned 14 later that year. So this past week, the spring equinox has been 17 years since that first equinox that I celebrated with other people. Now, the fact that that was the first Sabbath that I celebrated with other people and that it was me sort of leading it, initiating it, telling people about it, all of this stuff, implies that, of course, this was not the beginning of my practice or study. Because I would say I was studying for a bit before I even began practicing on my own. That's how I like to do things most of the time. I like to try to learn a little bit about it. There are some things that I learned by doing, but with this, there was a period of looking things up online, reading in books, trying to, learn some stuff about it before I then dove into actually practicing and trying things out for the first time. So I still don't have like a good time stamp for when all of that really started, Because now when I read certain books, I take notes and I date my notes in my notebooks so I know when I was working through a certain book. But I didn't always do that the way that I do now. I used to sometimes take notes, but they weren't always dated or, whatever. So I do have some other journal entries from early rituals that I did that were kind of also all in 2004. So I think that when I was 13 is a good time to say, like, that's when I began practicing. But I've also always thought, like, around when I was 11 or 12 is when I started learning about these things. And that still makes sense to me with that timeline. So maybe, like, when I was 12, I was starting to read books and I was studying things, but I didn't really start practicing until I was 13. And one of the first things I did was my mom and I had gotten together with some friends of hers who were also kind of interested in things like paranormal investigations. And we used to go ghost hunting all the time and like going to old cemeteries and doing like historical research about cemeteries and graveyards and haunted places in our area and stuff like that. And some people who were interested in magic and also like psychic skills and psychic phenomena, not necessarily paganism and witchcraft specifically, but they were these people that we knew that had a lot of the same general sort of interest in the practices and the sort of psychic area of things. So we got together with them, and I remember basically like we didn't do a ritual, but I brought over like a couple recipes that I had gotten out of different books for like Sabbath cookies and like a drink and stuff like that. And we made some recipes, and I remember I like talked to them about the history of Ostara, which I now just refer to it as the Equinox. I don't necessarily use all of the different names for them, but at the time I would have been talking about Ostara and what I had learned about that recently. And I basically like presented sort of a book report, sort of a little report to these people about what I had learned about Ostara and the meaning and what we were celebrating that day. But that's the kind of stuff that we would do. And then we would like cleanse our crystals and stuff like that together because these people also collected crystals and worked with crystals. Meditation was a thing that was common between all of these people. So again, there was like a little bit of overlap of shared practices, definitely a bit in the sort of new age category. And I think I was maybe the only one at the time who was really looking into like paganism. And now there is at least one other person from that group who also identifies as a witch today. I don't know if they did at the time or if me bringing it up and talking about it was also part of them deciding to do more with it or being comfortable talking about it or what. But before that, I don't remember anyone else talking about witchcraft or paganism. So that was kind of it. And so I think because it was a very easily remembered date in my head, because it was a Sabbath, it's the equinox, that's always what I had said, or what I had always used as the estimate for like sort of when I started my practice. I never really thought about it over the past several years, but like this year, I got to do the spring equinox ritual with my friends slash coworkers slash my partner, at the Buckland Museum, because we've been doing that since last Samhain. We've been doing rituals for the Sabbats at the museum, just private, because it's still a pandemic, so we're not doing like public rituals or anything like that. We're not having big groups. At the most, it's been 4 people: me, my partner, the director, and their partner. And sometimes it's only been 3 of us because one person can't make it. And for one of the Sabbats, it got canceled because it got snowed out, or like we had invited one other person and they couldn't make it, so we rescheduled for the next week, and then that one got snowed out or something like that, and then it was too late. We were like, well, so we missed that one, unfortunately. But we've done all the others so far, and of course we will continue to do so. So I got to do that last Saturday after work, and then on Sunday I was invited by one of my friends, one of my online friends, to participate in an online ritual that they had written for their local druid grove. And they are in a state where I do not live. So that's something that I would not have been able to participate in if it was not online. So I got to do that on Sunday. And so I don't know if it was this process of being able to now celebrate the equinox twice this past weekend with 2 different groups in 2 different styles, multiple different people, that made me remember, the first time I celebrated this Sabbat was also with other people. And that's how I've always said it. Like, first time I celebrated the Sabbat with other people was in 2004. But I'm pretty sure that was also the first time I celebrated the Sabbat, period, because before that, I would have been studying it and learning about it, but I don't think I started doing my own solitary rituals for things like the Sabbats until after that point as well. So, and again, we didn't do a ritual with that group. It was just a celebration of a different kind. So then I would have started doing my own rituals for them a little after that fact. But yeah, so I don't know if it was because I got to celebrate with other people again this year that I thought of it, but then I realized, like, oh, it's the spring equinox. It's like the anniversary of my practice. It's my witchiversary. So I've been practicing more or less for 17 years, at least. Because again, I definitely would have been studying it before that, and I probably did a little bit of practicing on my own before that, but I don't have exact dates for those things because I didn't keep dates in my notes like that at the time as much, I guess. I don't really know. But yeah. So for whatever reason, it's the easiest date. But I've also been thinking about that now, about why I chose that to be the thing that I count from. Now, obviously, I've just said it multiple times, it's an easy date to remember. It's a Sabbat. It's the equinox. It's not even just a random, like, oh, March 18th or whatever. It's the equinox. But also, I think, looking back on it now from my 2021 lens of who I am today, I think it is significant that I chose to count from the first time I celebrated with other people, and that I don't count from the first time I celebrated it by myself, or the first time I cast a circle, or the first time I set up an altar, because I do have some journal entries about those types of things, and maybe, again, they might not have been the first time, but it's the first time that I journaled about it and put the date, So I think it's significant that it has a community element. And this is significant to me today because as a 30-year-old person who has now been getting more involved in certain aspects of community over the past 5, 6, and so on years, that feels significant to me because, of course, at the time, I identified as a solitary witch, meaning that I was not a member of a coven. I did not have a working group that I regularly practice with. But I definitely did have times that I would get together with groups of people to celebrate or do things like cleanse crystals or meditation, stuff like that. But I did not consider that, because we were not a specific working group that always worked together or that worked together in any formal ways, or where everybody in that group is on anything remotely like a similar path. I thought of myself as a solitary for that reason. And I still am mostly a solitary practitioner in that I am not a member of a coven or a grove or a circle or anything like that these days. I've done some group work in the past, very informal, but I really don't have anything like that now. But building community is something that is more important to me, that I am doing a little more actively today. And so looking back, I feel like it is significant that I started counting from a community experience. And then it was community experiences this past weekend that sort of reminded me of that initial community experience. So yeah, I cannot say that I have celebrated or acknowledged the equinox every single year in any kind of formal way since then, like over the past 17 years. I certainly have not done a ritual every single year for the equinox or for any of the other Sabbats. I have definitely skipped some every year, but I try to at least acknowledge them in whatever way or set up a small altar at my house for them. So even if I'm not doing anything else, I'm still sort of making that change in my scenery and my surroundings, and I'm putting out things that represent that season to me. But, you know, whatever I have or haven't done regularly or reliably or on a schedule or whatnot for the Sabbats, I was able to celebrate it formally this year twice with multiple groups of people, and that's really nice. And the first time I ever celebrated it with other people was 17 years ago, and that's what I typically consider the start of my practice, just an easy way to count it. So yeah, do you have a witch anniversary or a pig anniversary? Because I told my mom, hey, it's my witch anniversary, and she was like, oh, you know, I might not tell everyone, like I might not tell all my friends that, because I tell my friends you're pagan, but my mom really doesn't like the word witch, never has. That's why she had a problem with it when I first started talking to her about it years ago. She gets the pagan thing much more, but she still does not get the word witch thing because of all the negative connotations that it's had, and still has to a lot of people. So yeah, she was like, I don't know if I want to tell other people that, because I just tell them you're a pagan, not necessarily a witch. But I said, all right then, pig anniversary. Pig anniversary. Yeah, however you want to say that. And of course, not everyone, not all of you, not everyone identifies as a witch. So maybe you have a pagan anniversary, maybe you have a druid anniversary, whatever. Whatever word combinations you want to put together there. Do you have one? Do you have a sort of general time of year? You know, maybe not the exact specific date, but do you have a general time of year that you like to think back on as counting how long you've been doing this? Or maybe it's just a specific year, maybe it's just a specific age that you were. And if so, happy anniversary to you, whenever it was, because, you know, I've never wished you one before, so I clearly have missed it, whatever it was. So happy belated anniversary, or happy early anniversary for the one that's coming up in the next year. And I just wanted to share that. And I thought I would do so in a little bit of an informal vlog today, because it was just something that I've been thinking about since the last week. And there are a lot of other things going on right now in my head and in my life that I was like, I'm just gonna do a bit of a casual vlog for this week's video, because I've got a lot of bigger projects in the works that are just going to take more time that I'm not going to work on today. I'm going to probably lay right back down here and worry about editing this video and uploading it in a couple hours after I feel a bit more rested, but at least it's recorded now, and get something to eat, so hopefully my tummy feels better, you know, whatever. So hope you're all doing well. I will see you next week, thereabouts. And again, I did say I'm going on a bit of a trip, so I was hoping to have some videos recorded ahead of time so that I can schedule them, so that I don't have to be worrying about also making videos at the same time that I'm doing all of these other things. But I've been doing all of these other things for the past couple of weeks, and I have not yet been able to pre-record and prepare videos to go up. So I still don't know what that's going to look like. If I'm gonna be all of a sudden this weekend trying to record a bunch of stuff so that I can edit it and get it ready to post later, I don't know. But I'm gonna worry about this one today and try to get a little bit of rest in here. Hope you're all doing well. I will see you next time. Until then, don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye. I hope you all had a lovely equinox this past weekend, whether it was the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere or the autumn equinox in the southern hemisphere for you, and that you enjoy this upcoming season.